Would you please? That would be fantastic. We'll start, everyone is present. Thank you all for attending. Lynn, you too, especially in light of the distance and your vacation travels just getting back. Yes. Sure.
I don't know the rules. It's been a long time.
Works for me. Everyone's in attendance. We have a quorum, if you want to call it that. We're just a recommending body, but we had distributed prior meeting minutes. It's been July 12th, 2021 was the last meeting. Where we heard 3 applicants, if I'm not mistaken. That was the last time we've met. So thank you again all for your time. And like I said, I try to call meetings only when necessary, but copies of the meeting minutes, if I'm not mistaken, were forwarded with the meeting packet. Did each of you guys have an opportunity to take a peek at those? Lynn, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, great.
Didn't speak up or not. But because everyone had an opportunity to review this, I didn't print them off. I looked at them ahead of time. Did you guys see it by chance? And
Yeah, I mean, I have them on my phone. I didn't print anything off. I was.
this, there was one revision, not to the minutes, to the grant. Bear with us one moment.
Okay.
Here. I can forward them.
I'm looking for it. Was the whole packet on an email from you, or was it from?
It was from Josh, and I just looked at it, and I didn't see the meeting minutes in it. I saw the applicant and the summary of the wayfinding sides, but I'm going in here.
Hey, Bill, do you want me to forward it to you? I've got the minutes
Would you
in the
please?
pack. Yeah, I can do that right now for you. Yep.
Thank you.
This is Josh. If you have the packet there, it should just be on page 2 of the packets where they start.
Okay.
Sure. It's the one from Jay, and it's just if you scroll down all the way at the bottom with the invite. And
There they are. Christine, you were here. Yep.
Yep.
We heard. We have issues. Yeah, it's on page 2. Josh is right. It's the former doctor's office. Yep. And the former, the building next to the Bassett House, 148 Washington.
Yes.
Can you see him, Christina, or do you need him? The meeting minutes?
Oh, no, I got it.
Okay.
We're
All
good.
right. Did anyone have any
Thank you.
questions or additions or anything we need to make to those minutes?
Nope.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. And a
So,
second.
moved. Oh, second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, meeting minutes passed. July 12th, that was already. Wow. Okay, let's move along. What we're here for. We've got a grant application for, the first up is 124 South State Street. The Hampshire Social is the business name they've got on the prints. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the proposals and what's involved in the project? I'd be more than happy to try and answer any questions I can. There's been one revision to the original application as it was proposed, minor. The masonry contract included just standard concrete. I think they've since decided they wanted to embellish it a little bit with stamped concrete and possibly coloring. So the price changed a little bit, it went up a little bit. I'll be able to tell you exactly how much that difference is in a little bit, but all the rest of the proposals are the same, they haven't changed. So, would you like me to, does anyone have any specific questions, or would you like me to go through just the application and some of the trades that have presented proposals as part of the project?
Sure.
Okay. We've got a very well-prepared package, I might add, in terms of their application, their grant application. It was very thorough and very detailed. I met with the future owners on actually four separate occasions, but to go over the project and talk to them about the components of it and what they intend to do with the building in the form of remodeling as well as the type of business. It seems like it would make a great addition to the downtown, where currently it was, I'll call it a service business, where now it's going to be more of a retail business.
It's
So-
wine and whiskey or something like that.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
They wanted to kind of keep it hush hush, but it's kind of pretty much common knowledge. Also a coffee store or a coffee shop in the mornings and
Yeah,
weekends.
believe coffee and wine and maybe craft beers.
Yep.
So.
That's what I heard as well. Their initial intent is to feature Midwestern manufacturers or distilleries or breweries, whether it be wine or bourbon or even the coffee. He was talking about sourcing it from a local, someone nearby that roasts it.
Loco does.
Yeah, I didn't catch it. I was thinking he said it was someone in town,
Oh, right into.
but yeah, I
Oh.
thought. But anyway,
Frozen.
they're looking to feature all local, manufacturers, distilleries, wineries, whatever the case may be. And very excited to get started. So with that being said, they wanted to make sure that I expressed their gratitude to the Beautification Committee for hearing their grant application. They wanted it was kind of interesting. They reiterated what Ryan Krajewski has often said to me about the intent and purpose behind the project. Their exact words to me were that if it weren't but for this grant program, they would not be able to do this, nor do it as well as they want to do it. This allows them, hopefully some assistance if approved by the village board ultimately, which is going to allow them to focus more on the interior of the building and doing what it is they'd like to set out to do. And that is to create an atmosphere that people feel comfortable and welcome to gather in. And whether that be for coffee or social hour or whatever the case may be, but very, very excited to give back to the community. So with that being said, you've all seen the description of the property. There is a portion of the property that is in the back, I'll call it a backyard or a rear garden area, whatever you want to call it, that they plan to improve as part of the scope of the work, to create a seating area outside, whether that be in the morning or the evening, that you can sit outside and enjoy the weather and whatever libations, whether it be coffee or tea or other things to enjoy. So, they've got a summary of the, I'll just skim through this real quickly. It's only a page and a half. The brick cleaning that they intend to do on pretty much all exposed elevations. They plan to treat the bricks in one way or another. On the right elevation, which would be the north side, which faces the, I'll call it gas station, the Ross Pump Garage, the masonry is red or burgundy. And the front facade, the masonry is like a cream color. They're gonna hopefully stain the front elevation to match the north elevation, similar to what you may have seen the Copper Barrel do, to create uniformity between the two elevations. So they're all kind of the same burgundy color. It'll create a little bit more uniformity. Also, below the picture windows, I'll call them, there's, I don't know if it's limestone or concrete poured slabs They've become discolored over time due to the copper flashing around the old windows. And they plan to stain those the same color, like a beige, just so it looks more uniform. They're also gonna do cleaning and any necessary tuck pointing that may be necessary. On the rear of the building, it has the burgundy brick, which I would say is on the north elevation. They've got more tuck pointing to do on the back elevation, which faces that courtyard. And there's a chimney that needs to be removed because it's pulled away from the building and it's unstable. Not to mention it's not used anymore. They're gonna go with a high efficiency furnace, which doesn't necessitate the need for a furnace or for a chimney. On the back of the building, that's probably where the masonry is in the worst shape. They're gonna relocate the existing door, and they're not gonna be able to match the brick when they do it. So I'll come back to the brick matching issue later, but they're gonna have to reconfigure the rear elevation, which faces west. Yes, that you can't really see it unless you go down the alley. Back out to the front, their proposal is to install a commercial grade awning that will come out from the building, protect people from the sun and allow you to sit out on the sidewalk. It's gonna be black. Exterior lighting, they're adding 4 commercial grade barn style LED lights across the front upper facade. It'll illuminate the front entry as well as the walkway. They're adding outlets and an electrical light on the rear of the building to light the back entrance. That'll be as much of an entrance as the front. They anticipate anyway, as a result of the municipal lot that's located right behind their building. Other than that, next item is the doors. Significant expense here. They're going to replace the front entry door as well as the front windows. They're going to install commercial grade double glass doors on the front where the single door is at right now. They sent along some examples of other doors that the same door installer has installed in other buildings, just to give you an idea as to what it would look like, but they're definitely commercial fixtures. Along the front, the front elevation, the windows are going to be changed pretty dramatically. Right now, there's 2 large picture windows on either side of the entry door. They're going to install kind of like a awning or accordion type of window that will fold out to the sides. I don't. Yeah, the diagram kind of shows it like collapsible, and I don't know if they're going to fold into the wall, but they're going to fold to the outside so that what's left, they're going to put like a bar top or a countertop of sorts, so you can sit there just inside the building and look out towards Washington Street. And then across the top, where there's currently like real small stained glass panels, I think they even plan on installing a transom. We'll come back to that proposal on the windows and I can show you a little bit more. Other than that, that's the extent of the doors and the windows on the front elevation. Next item is the gutters. They're going to remove and replace the rear gutters, which currently are not functioning properly. They need to be updated and replaced. That'll take care of the drainage. They're also going to combine that with new downspouts and underground drainage to channel the water off the rooftop of the building so it doesn't discharge onto the patio and create water problems as well as foundation problems. Streetscape elements and landscaping. They're going to install concrete on the rear of the building with ADA access capability into the rear of the building. They're going to install about a 450 square foot patio in the rear of the building. And they hope to have people use that as an access as well as a place to enjoy the amenities of the business. They're going to install a partial privacy fence out of wood along one of the walls, if I'm not mistaken, to conceal, to create a better environment within the patio area. I'll leave it at that. That also allows them the ability to install a gate to close off the patio area or create an entrance. I don't know if they're gonna be able to do that because of fire or whatever. But we'll get to that. There's a demo entry. Okay, finished work. Trim on the interior. They're gonna have to rework the front after they install the windows. Okay. Any questions up to this point?
only I have a question about that awning.
Go ahead.
Is that it's enormous also. Like, I don't know, I mean, it's just jumps out of this. They're taking over the whole.
I'll give you the dimensions. I think it is the whole width. Let me give you the exact dimensions, the width of it. This is stem, I want to say, my proposal indicated the length and the width.
Yeah.
Directions that facing, that's east.
That's the east.
So you're, in the morning, you're getting sun there. Other than rain, that's the other.
But that'd be the idea of thinking upstate. It would help.
Because you wouldn't be at the sun on the east side other than the first thing in the morning, that would be it.
Yeah.
Here it is, Munzinger Williams awnings and canopies. The motorized awning extends out from the building 5'7". I don't know.
Yeah, geez, because it's a care.
And it'll
Is it, yeah, it's way wider than.
projects 5'7" and it's 20 feet wide. I guess the front of the building is wider than 20 feet, don't you think?
Yeah, you need, probably not.
Well,
Yeah, I think it's all, it's frontages.
this is part of the electrical costs and running electric out to the front facades, not only the lights, but the electric to power the awning. We had a motor remote control and a wind sensor where it closes automatically when it senses wind.
And ours will always be.
What's that?
I'm thinking about how many times we can replace the banners downtown because of the way. That thing closed all the time.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. It's a big, I just looked at it. It just jumped out because it's
Yeah.
a big expense in their list, like
Yeah.
$7 grand.
It is.
And it's going to be quite high. That's all I was thinking, but I mean, it's their proposal. I just wondered if you had any thoughts about that and.
Perspective for just other who were on State Street and you know, I would
Right.
like someone to tell me that, like, hey, you might want to think about.
Yeah.
Before you go to the.
Because of the fact it's susceptible to damage. Aside from that, is there a
Yeah.
concern with it?
Just like it's like a wind tunnel now.
Yeah, that's kind of been an ongoing, for the folks that do have awnings. Ray Mataski's office did have one. I don't think I ever saw it down.
Mhm.
Drywallers used to have them. When it was Ace Hardware, they had each of them on the front of elevations.
Weren't they rather?
In time, they definitely wound up, but they used to roll them out every
Right.
day and put them up at night. Not that people lingered out front, you didn't. It was
No.
more just, if it was raining, I guess it would keep that and the sun
Yeah, the sun.
would keep off you. Now you've got, if they do have sidewalk seating, you're gonna have people sitting out there. This is something that would extend this limited seating that they currently probably have based on the footprint of the building. Give them a few more tables out front at least, and then,
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it would be nice, like, for those few hours when it is really sunny there, like, we've sat out in front before and enjoyed the heat, but sometimes people don't want the heat, but yeah. And I don't know how the board feels about awnings. It seems to me they've gotten a little hyper about awnings. Not be hyper in a bad way, but I'm just like, awnings, you know?
good, bad, or otherwise.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, just, we don't wanna pay for awnings, but this would be a much larger project. I just bring it up just because it's like, now I see awnings and I'm like, whoa, what are we doing?
yeah, well, that's why we're talking about it,
Right,
you
yeah.
know, and thank you for bringing it up, you know.
When I look at the front of it, it looks like, if you look at the front elevation, it looks really great, and then you think, where, that's all gonna be covered up with that
Right.
giant black. Because, they drew it out, and there's the little person, and that awning's just about,
Oh, yeah.
obviously not gonna hit him in the head, but
But it's very.
seems very close to hit him in the head. You know,
My guess is there's a, you know, a minimum height
I'm sure.
requirement where you've got to, so that people don't, that doesn't happen. I mean,
Well, I mean, I guess the other option is like, I mean, Michelle, do you like your tables, don't they have umbrellas on it or something?
Well, you can, yeah.
And,
Right. In the afternoon, it helps, but the sun goes down really fast.
It does. Yeah.
The back is for, it's for a while. That's why we have
Okay.
wind sails.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want it to like really cause a problem. I was just thinking,
No,
that's
it's
a lot
good
of money
point.
for the
It's a very
grant,
good
you know,
point.
It
that
is.
it's a big chunk of their project, that's 7,000
Yeah.
in that list.
Oh,
Definitely something to talk about. See if there are any other notable things that come to mind as I went through here. This is the summary, which is going to change. The doors are pretty straightforward. The windows are a little different. Neat in a different,
Yeah.
just that type of a window arrangement.
Right. Well, that's true with the awning. I mean, is the windows gonna be a lot more with the awning or something? I mean, that's a good point.
Well, there's an area between the, let's call them the collapsible curtain windows and then the transom above. I don't know if that's masonry or that's glass. Right now, I don't think it's masonry. Let me look at the original photo. I think it's all glass now. Yeah, it is. There's your curtain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, other than the fixed stained glass at the top, it's all glass.
So this will be these new transoms then, nice.
Here's an idea to show how they do in sections, the glass. And
Oh,
I'm
I see.
seeming to recall it's all glass, what they're gonna wind up with. So at some point, they're gonna have to mount a series of, the awning. Right, so it's gonna cover probably.
Interesting.
Here's another like
They're
section
probably
of
thinking with
glass.
all that glass, they're gonna roast if they don't have something. Not really realizing that. How is it like for you? You have the dark windows though.
well, they're a little bit, yeah, they're not too dark, but, the reason we don't get very much sun during the day, you know, in the early afternoon, if we're gonna get any. Just there for lunch, but.
Mhm.
And I think the sun's like on my side.
Yeah,
They
that
did, yeah,
really
right.
smoking that and then.
If they're open early too for the coffee thing, when the sun comes up from the east, the fact that there's not a building directly across the street, there's an open street. If there's sun, they're
Yeah,
gonna
They're
get it.
gonna get it, yeah.
I'm sure in the morning it's just
So, yeah.
brilliant,
God, I
you
hadn't
know.
thought about that. When you're sitting out there in the morning, you want the cover, so you want the blinds sitting out there.
Right.
And I haven't sat out there in the morning. I don't, my best guess is that's probably
is.
part of it. It's
Yeah.
probably sunnier and all.
And you know, it would be the advantage of the awning versus the umbrellas. Like, I've had umbrellas because
Oh, right,
it's
yeah.
gonna be, and no matter how much you tighten that bottom thing, you know what I mean, they're not,
Yeah,
they're
they're
gonna, it does take it, and that's kind of dangerous also. I think they're gonna be a wonderful addition.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, it's gonna
yeah,
be so nice.
My concern is whether or not, the board is the back part of the scope. That's back area.
So that would receive streets and stuff.
If it can be, my understanding is if it can be seen from the right of way, which would be the alley or street, it's eligible for facade improvement grants. Last year in July, we did hear a proposal for the doctor's office, which you can't really see other than from the alley. And that went through. I mean, that's how we proposed it, recommended it, that it be included. They were to be signed and do some downspout work and a door. I think they might have even done windows.
Okay.
To that. But because it's visible from the right of way, it's typically has been.
Okay.
So that question first came up and we addressed it with the Bassett House. But when you get out on State Street, you can see.
Yeah.
You can see it very easily,
Yeah.
but then we looked into it further with the whole right of way thing, doctor's office. And we included that last year, so.
Okay, good.
One thing that may come up as it pertains to the stadium, I think we've talked about this before, is that the program wholly supports restoration and repair and not painting any masonry. The back of the building proposes an interesting situation or scenario because it's gonna be a seating area. Someone's gonna sit out there. Two of the sister buildings on either side are painted white. They have a rear red brick masonry facade that is kind of a mess. They're gonna have to relocate the door, brick up one of the openings and move a window, I think, or at least replace a window, and they're not gonna be able to match the brick, there's no doubt. So they had approached the staining folks that are doing the rest of the building as to what they could do that would somewhat complement the two white buildings on the sides, and they suggested kind of a pickled whitewash. So it's kind of not really fully covering it, painting it, you'll still be able to see the nuances of the color of the brick, but it's better than painting it. So if that comes up down the road. The beautification guidelines are very specific about not painting anything, but we've done staining before. Some of the building owners have done staining. The Ford Garage, Roy's Place, Cotton Barrel. I guess you didn't have to do any staining, you just replaced all.
You just did everything. It was disintegrating, yeah, there was no.
Yeah.
So I wanted to play the play box while I do hair.
So they're trying to find the best of both here with the rear of it, so that'll be done and finished differently than the rest of the building.
So that's what that example was for the red and white blotched. I was like,
Yeah, it was included in their, they amended their submission, and it was included a photo of the whitewash brick, and then it included the revised proposal for the concrete, the flatwork in the back. I will find that for you. There's also some, that's the chimney tuck pointing on the front of the building and demolition of the chimney. This is just an example, and the wooden fence work that they're gonna do, they're doing it all themselves, out of pocket. Just materials only is what they included their proposal for. The electric is over 9,000, 9080 was the proposal from Schaeffler Electric. That's to install furnish and install the 4 lights across the front, a separate circuit, the awning, a separate circuit or a time clock for the lights. So they'll go on and off, and then furnish and install exterior conduit from the back to the front for lighting feed, lift rental, and furnish the rear light. So that's all the electric. This is the concrete proposal. This is the glass. And then that's the finished carpentry. Okay. Recent submission for the grant, there was a photograph of Hampshire Creek, kind of like barn boards, is what I would describe it as.
oh, is that what that was on the decking?
Let's see the other photo. I'll stop and show you that first. Here is an example of the whitewashed masonry that they're gonna try and come as close to on the rear. So it looks kind of distressed and old, it's just not
But then
painted
that
white.
matches what's gonna be next to it.
Yeah.
You see the photos, okay. So they're trying to blend it in so it looks
Okay, yeah.
uniform
So if they have that on there, it won't look so.
Right.
somewhat.
Tie it in.
Best you
Oh,
can.
no.
Yeah, right, yeah, right. Gee, that doesn't stick out. No, so that, it looks like, let me put it this way, I guess they're finishing it or proposing a finish that's consistent with the neighboring buildings to make it kind of blend together and look a little uniform.
Yeah.
Here,
All in.
that's the stamped concrete that
Yeah.
they had sent, that just
Is that
came,
what you have?
Yes.
okay.
We're having a problem with ours, I think. We're
You're doing what?
Yeah, we got, they think we got a bad batch of concrete underneath because there's rocks coming up.
Oh,
So, you know,
Wow.
Did they replace that at their expense?
Yeah, they go, yeah, but it's still gonna,
Still, yeah, impact your whole.
right. Hopefully they'll do it soon.
Okay, I'm moving forward to get you a dollar amount for the concrete plant work, because that amount did change.
Bill, I did include those updates in the packet, so if they can see the packet, it should be in that table where he lists all his costs. That should be the updated number.
Got it. I see it now. The updated concrete went from $7,360 to $9,817.50. So the updated total is $76,541.50. 76,541.50. That's the revised combined total. The only estimate that I'm understanding was changed was the concrete one for the flat work and the patio and back. Everything else appears to have stayed the same. Yes. Okay. Lynn, were you able to look at the packet, and what did you think of the proposed grant application?
I thought it was a great application. I think it'd be a great addition to the city or to the village. It is a little high, but I'm not sure how much we would want to support, whether we support the full 75%. Is that what we can go up to, 75% of the proposal?
That is my understanding, yes, if the committee so chooses.
What is our funding?
Hey, Josh,
Yeah.
would you be willing to share the funding status of the beautification program this upcoming year, which fiscal year begins May 1?
Yes, starting May 1, the new budget will be $100,000 for the facade program. The budget was passed at the last village board meeting, so that's passed. I believe, on the agenda, you see that the Rose Garden is also planning on submitting an application. And then, Bill, I believe you've met with the folks over at Blocks Market planning on submitting as well. So up to you how you want to take those into consideration, but those applications will be forthcoming.
So it's hard to make a recommendation until we decide on the other projects.
Does that mean the other projects?
I have a rough idea. Let me give those to you now that we brought that up. I think it would be an opportune time to discuss. I met with, I think the gentleman's name was Sam from Blocks Market, and the scope of their project is he's replacing the awnings. Right now, there's an awning that's just partially on the front, which faces south, and the side of the building, which faces east. Each of the awnings is roughly, say, 20 to 30 feet long. They're leaking. They've been damaged by delivery box trucks over the years. They're in bad shape, and they leak on the patrons. So what he wants to do is replace the awning system with a brand new one that runs across the entire front from the alley to the corner, and then from the corner straight north to where the building ends, where there's a loading dock or a bump out, so that all the sidewalks will be covered when you get out of the parking spots, at least on the east side. So you'll just get up and walk under the awning and walk in. He doesn't know how much that would cost. He was in the process of getting estimates when I met with him about 4 to 5 weeks ago, something like that. So we haven't received an application. So as to what the cost of that would be, I don't know. It's probably all steel or aluminum or both. Probably steel structure, maybe aluminum skin. I don't have no idea what that would cost. The other project, more recently, I met with the gentleman who owns the Rose Garden, and he was considering doing masonry along the street side, which would be Jefferson, which faces south, where the building, I think its masonry is in its most in its worst shape. It's most visible from the street. And the worst part of it is right down by where the freezing and thawing is, right by the sidewalk. And he was going to replace the masonry with like a natural stone, like a limestone, like maybe the bottom of the doctor's office looks like, up about 3 feet the entire length of that building. Well, I'm not a mason, but how you would do that while supporting all the rest of the masonry, I don't know. Because you're essentially cutting out the foundation. That's what so they were gonna partially replace the masonry from east to west along the whole side of the building. And then it's essentially 2 units, what used to be 4 columns.
Oh, lost the audio here.
Can you hear us now? Lynn?
Now I can hear you, yeah.
Okay. The other part of the project was on the south half of the building. The front masonry facade used to extend 2 or 3 feet above the roof line. It's just a decorative front. Anyway, years back, when they did some remodeling, I guess it was in such disrepair, they knocked it off. They removed it, about 2 feet of it. And if you look at the front of the building in comparison to the next unit to the north, you can see it's shorter and it's been compromised. It's not finished. It used to have a brick opening in it. I think it was a round circle, and the masonry may have even gone to a gabled peak. That's all gone. So how he's gonna, I guess, repair that, he made it clear that he doesn't think it's in his budget to fix it with masonry. His proposal was to wrap it with metal or aluminum and just basically cover it up. So I don't know what his proposal eventually will involve or not, but the masonry along the sidewalk, the front parapet wall across the front facade, and what else did he talk about? I think just repainting the rear of the building. And I think that's all that comes to mind. Hey, Josh, do you remember meeting with that gentleman, and do you recall what else he wanted to do besides that masonry, or were you not there for that part of it?
I was really only there when he was talking about the masonry. So I did he talk about their awning at all? Their awning is pretty bad shape.
He mentioned it, but it wasn't with the goal of replacing them. I think he was just going to propose taking them off, removing them for now, and addressing that at a later date, from what I recall. So it did not include new awnings, from what I remember.
What about enclosing his trash receptacles?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
Just to be a part
it's
of
a
it.
mess back there.
Do you want to spruce up hiding trash is a really good way to do it.
Understood. It probably boils down to whether or not he's got any space back there, and if you could build a structure, if that's.
Like I know, like in other towns, they take the existing, whatever was there, and they just basically box it in with the thing with doors, and the trash people can get right in there like they could before. If you go down in Huntley, down by the square, where the little pizza places, and you go west from that westernmost street there, you can see they're all boxed in just like that, and there was no space for any improvement, any bigger or smaller than what was there. They just boxed them.
Enough to house them.
Just enough to house them so it looks nice.
That's a valid point, you know, and it's visible. It's not like it's not visible. If you're in a
Hugely
Blocks
visible.
parking lot, if you're walking into Blocks, you walk right past that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you try to walk down the sidewalk to the corner and you're passing that. It's nasty.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, you wouldn't happen to know, would you, whether or not the rear of the Rose Garden has any property remaining behind them before they step into the alley? Is there an area there, I wonder, that they could possibly enclose their dumpster and garbage receptacles and grease receptacles?
I doubt that they have any property. I imagine it abuts directly to the right of way in the alley. I don't know. I'd have to look at a GIS map.
So that means their cans are just sitting there. Their garbage receptacles are just in the right of way.
Yeah, that's his point.
Okay,
That's possible. I don't know.
I never knew that. That explains it.
Yeah,
In
it's
some ways.
unfortunate. So that'll be something, I'm glad you brought that up, when I revisit with him.
Yeah.
If and when he does submit a proposal, I'll go over and talk to him and say, we've already touched on this, is this something you can maybe address?
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up, because I go in and meet with them after they submit, or they're talking about submitting an application. What are you doing? What do you want to do? And the fact that you've said something, I can pass that along. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I can look that specific question up before the BDC meeting, Bill, if you want to, or I'll get back to you by then, I guess.
Okay. Oh, that's
If
fine.
if it doesn't, if the property isn't theirs, who would be responsible for doing such an enclosure?
If he doesn't have the land, he doesn't have the land, you know, unless he got some approval from the village, but he'd be encroaching on the right of way. And if you've got, I mean, they're there now.
They're there
Right.
now.
And trucks aren't hitting them all, well, I don't think they're hitting them all the time, you know, but, so if they're able to work around it, I guess it all depends on whether or not he can put up a permittable structure around the outside of his enclosure and,
Mhm.
yeah, that's something we can address later. But in the big picture of his project and the work he's considering, I don't think that's a lot. I think the masonry is a major expense.
Mhm.
And he hadn't yet gotten a proposal for that, Lynn. He was kind of working on it. He was hopeful. I met with him last week. He was hopeful on possibly getting us an application, and I explained to him, well, we do call the meetings as we have business. If you can't make it by Monday, don't, you know, kill yourself trying to get it in. If you're waiting on bids, you're waiting on bids. So I said, we convene and have another meeting to hear it, and he didn't tell me either way what he intended to do, but by action, he hasn't filed a grant application as far as I know. So
what is the latest we can make a recommendation to not the board, the next step? Do we
Yes.
have some time, or do we need to think about setting aside an amount for maybe blocks in the rose garden?
well, I think there's merit, and we can always consider, you know, setting aside some funds. In terms, to answer your question about a time frame, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time before the BDC meeting, and this was the goal. We have a BDC meeting day after tomorrow, Wednesday, and if this committee has a recommendation, I intended to present that on Wednesday. And then, if I'm not mistaken, the village board has a meeting, I don't know when, Josh, you probably know, within like a couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, it'd be on the 21st.
21st. So I don't know if they can hear it then, or they have to wait until after May 1. That question I don't know, but they're entering a new, go ahead, Josh.
Sorry, they can absolutely hear it then. We just can't expend any new money until after May 1st, so it would be totally fine to approve grants before then.
So if we approved the entire project, the first entire project, we would be spending about 60,000. We'd still have almost 40,000 left. Am I doing the math in my head correct?
Yeah.
Yep. I calculated it's gonna
Me
be
too.
just under 8,000.
Okay, well, that's a lot of money left. I think we should fully fund the first project and wait and see what happens with the other two.
I would agree. I think, you know, they're put a lot of work into it. It's gonna be a great addition to the downtown area. It's gonna look fantastic.
Yeah.
And I mean, it, you know, waiting on whether or not these other ones are gonna come through with an application, you know, I think it's fair to.
I agree, a bird in the hand, and if we don't know that they're gonna come, could be 2 years, could be whatever.
And then it was a
And was there
first
any money
person.
left for, I know we haven't, was there any money left in 2021?
I don't think Josh heard that.
Yes,
Josh?
Yeah, no, I had some really bad white noise for a second. What'd you say?
We just had a question posed about if there was any leftover funds from this past year in the beautification grant program, and if so, are those foregone, or is that something that can roll over?
My understanding, so the fund it's not a fund itself, right? It's just an account that the village board approves spending out of. So it's just in the general fund. So anything that's left over just ends up with everything else that's left over from the general fund. It doesn't keep its own fund balance.
Okay, thank you. We don't deal with this often enough to know that by heart. Thank you. Yeah, and I think you're right about it's first come, first serve. I will tell you, I did stress to both applicants when I met with them. May 1 is coming. The grant program is a first come, first served basis based on the timing and when you're ready as an applicant. That's how it works. And they're all very much aware of that, Lynn.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I make a point of stressing that. So, with that being said,
I mean, it is very nice that we want to promote and help everyone, but it is that you wouldn't want someone to hear that they're the first project in and that we were saving, holding back or something because of something waiting in the week, you just have to keep it kind of black and white in a sense.
yeah,
Especially when they're a huge impact like
Yeah.
this first one that we're hearing. We're hearing what we want to get. So.
Yeah.
We should be consistent.
I-
Maybe it would help if we had some samples of what they're serving on there.
Yes, I know, right? Yeah, there you go.
I had to say it eventually.
Oh, coffee? What do you mean it's tea? Oh, your tea.
I heard about the beer, the wine, yeah. I had to say it.
So can we go ahead and start by recommending?
I think so. Is there any further discussion, ladies, about any of the individual subs or parts of the project, or is it all, everyone pretty comfortable with maybe moving forward?
yes.
Okay. That's one's yours, my dear.
Recommend that we do 75% of this project, just based on the impact that it's gonna make in the downtown area.
Second.
Okay. Individual roll call vote.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll just call them off in any random order. Lynn, are you in favor of the project as proposed? Were you able to hear Michelle's proposal?
Yes, I was, and I approve, yes.
Okay. Jeannie,
Yes.
Christina,
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
I'm voting.
Right.
Yep. Okay, I will make that recommendation on Wednesday. Other than that, we have another item on the agenda. If you guys want to move forward to talk about wayfinding signs.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yes.
Put all this aside. Thank you. Michelle, were you involved in getting the proposal from Mike Armato
I
at some
was,
point?
I worked with Eileen and we met with Mike at his office. Carpentersville,
Okay,
and he gave us, I think a sample that we brought and gave. It's possibly, I don't remember, it's been a while, for sure.
Yep.
But I was part.
we had two samples. Josh, I think, might have one in his office, and I don't know where the other one, but they were pretty straightforward. It was what we were looking for, and they just put something together for us to show us the size, I think, of the signs, because the existing signs are too small to be legible as you're driving down the street. Even if you slow down and look, it's very difficult to see them. So from what I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, it was pretty unanimous that we needed to increase the font size, which means increasing the signs, which also means increasing the height of the posts. And the proposal that he had given us included the post extensions. I want to say like $700 some a post, and there were two that needed to be lengthened. And then he gave us a detailed proposal on fabrication of the signs and how many there was. There was a count included. I guess I got those minutes. I ran off copies. This is the only thing I can find of the prior meeting where we discussed in detail. What do you think?
It's clear that it was for necessary accessories and of the homes, parks, schools.
Were private businesses any part of that, or was this more for school,
I feel like it was
parking?
city based and churches and including the funeral home.
Josh, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Josh, I have a message flashing across my computer that says I only have 5 minutes left in my meeting time. So does that mean I will be leaving you folks in 5 minutes?
No, that's just the scheduled time on Microsoft. It should allow you to stay on.
Okay, all right. Well, if I disappear, you know why.
Thank you, Lynn.
I think what we found, and it has been a while, so we wanted to try to put some of the local businesses also on the signs, but with increasing the font size and everything that we needed to do to make it more visible, it was hard to try to squeeze all of that in.
Okay.
I guess, and it was just for this downtown area, just right here.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to get something like from State Street that says the business is downtown, but I think that's another project. Hopefully soon.
What do you think the next step would be? Maybe to reach out for Mr. Amato again and resume discussions?
As an subject expert perhaps, but his business he sold. So it's better.
Okay. So we would need to find a different vendor in order to work with to generate the same proposal.
I would imagine.
All right, well, that's,
Is he still, he's still.
That's what I mean, as an expert, he would probably be able to help us, but yeah.
I don't know if we're ready to direct us to the company that he had, knowing their product line and what they can do and
Right,
can't
yeah.
do. He might just say, well, these are the folks I sold the business to, talk to them.
Talk to them, yeah.
But it also opens a door for us to. Also.
Absolutely. Once we get a hard proposal that outlines size, what it's constructed of, what it's gonna take. There may be more than one vendor that sells those posts and post extensions, absolutely.
And I
So,
think we were trying, when we were trying to also match, somewhat stay in the direction of the clock, decor,
okay.
Yeah. with
the black and.
black.
Yeah, that's the colors on it. You're right. They did gold leafing on it. It's black. So in order to make any type of recommendation, we not only need to have a current cost proposal, and maybe some sort of a refined outline of what should be identified, which businesses, which municipal entities, schools, things like that. And that's depending upon how much room we have on the posts.
Did everyone take a look at the one that was submitted? It comes in our packet? Well, what was listed?
I didn't see that.
That's this here. I think.
Yeah, it's as you slide down there. A better handle on it than me.
Lynn, what we're looking at, I think is what do you call it? Microsoft PowerPoint that Dave Pizzolatto on the BDC compiled. And I think that's who generated it. It also even goes as far as to outline, I thought, the size of the fonts based on the speed limit of the street. This
Oh,
is
yeah,
it.
he had it dialed down to,
Yes,
yeah,
I
very
was like,
specific.
wow, this is everything that we have. Yeah, it's on this page. The principal legend on guide signs shall be in letters and numerals, inches in height for all uppercase letters, or a combination of 6 inches for uppercase and 4.5 in height for lowercase. On roads, I guess, with volume with speeds of 25 miles per hour or less. So the letters need to at least be lowercase 4.5 and 6 inch, which is,
Yeah.
That's big.
yeah.
Yeah, you can't put much on your sign then.
No, right,
Exactly.
and those real detailed, though very nice signs we have now, I don't.
Oh, they're beautiful, but you can't see them when you're walking up to them.
Yeah. So the writing's, no pun intended, on the wall, I think, in terms of what we need to do.
Right, I got that.
Yeah, I think this requires a little bit more looking into and researching, finding again a supplier that can readily produce and support, produce and do the lettering. This is more than this is like a workshop
Right.
It is a workshop.
thing.
And
Okay.
It was very time consuming the last time. It was stacked.
Yeah, it was prior to COVID that we.
Yeah. What do you think? Michelle, would you pair with, or Christine, would you pair with Michelle on this and maybe do a tag team thing and reach out for
Yeah,
Mike
absolutely.
and or another representative from the company
Sure.
that he no longer owns? And just kind of resume discussions, and then we can call another meeting to get together. By then, we may have another grant application at that point.
All right,
Then we can kill two birds with one stone.
sounds good to me.
I'm of the feeling we need more information before we do anything further. And I'll drum up the example that Josh got, that he's got in his office somewhere around here.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. Agenda. What else do we have? So we will revisit that. Other than that, do we have anything else, ladies? I lost my agenda.
just public comments, announcements.
Anything else? What is it?
But public comments, announcements, and adjournment.
Okay. I don't think I have any announcements. I think Josh has more announcements than I do. There's some sort of construction meeting this week, or pre-construction meeting for the downtown. Wednesday.
Yes.
I'll try and
It's
make
here,
it.
right?
Here, I think it's here.
Josh, that pre-construction meeting on Wednesday is 10:30 at the Village Hall unless weather changes, or what do you have?
Yeah, that's correct. 10:30 at Village Hall.
30. Got it. What was the other meeting afterwards? Something related?
Well, so what's gonna happen is at 9:30, the contractors and our engineers are gonna come in and have the actual pre-construction meeting. And then when that's finished up, then at about 10:30, all of the other invitees, the businesses and whatnot will arrive, and we will discuss the project and the schedule. So that'll be more of an information meeting than an actual pre-construction meeting, right? Like engineers and builders have, but they're right on top of each other.
Okay. Well, then,
Can't hear you.
I said, when are you coming home?
Oh, I'm coming home on the 25th of this month.
Well, that's soon enough.
Yeah, it's almost here. It's hard to believe. Have family here now. My daughter Wendy and her son's coming tomorrow, and we're going to celebrate the week and get through Easter and then clean up and come home for the summer.
It's beautiful. It's like a very nice place.
Bring the nice weather with you.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
It'll be good to be back though.
I bet. Well, thank you for attending remotely. I know it's not the easiest, especially when you're down there, but I thank you. It's really great to have you guys all participate. Makes it a lot easier. It's, I try to only call the meetings when we have something, so.
We appreciate that.
Thanks for everything you do and making it so for us
Yeah.
to just see it.
Sounds good.
All right, with that being said, someone want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Okay, good night all.
Hour and 5
Take
minutes.
this then?
Yes, that's an extra copy. I had two of them.
All
And I
right.
have it electronically too. If